Hi, I'm Vanessa from SpeakEnglishWithVanessa.com. Today we're going to talk about 4 American idioms. Let's get started. You might be wondering, what in the world is an American idiom? Well, these idioms might be understood by people in the UK, but they're most often used by Americans. And if you said one of these to someone from the US, they would instantly understand what you meant, and they wouldn't feel weird at all, like you were using an expression that they hadn't heard very often. For each of these idioms, I'm going to tell you a little story, and I want you to guess what you think the idiom means based on the context. So for our first idiom, I want to tell you a quick story about last week. One of my friends who has a small baby, we were going to get together, and in the morning when we were about to get together, she called me and said, "Hey Vanessa, I'm sorry, I gotta take a rain check because my baby's not feeling too well, so I wanna just relax at home and maybe we can get together next week." What do you think this idiom, take a rain check, means? Take a rain check. Think about it for a moment. In this context, we were going to get together, but we needed to change some plans because her baby wasn't feeling well. That's exactly what this idiom means. Change your plans. We need to delay or just push back our plans because something happened. Maybe you just are feeling tired or you're feeling sick, so you need to change your plans. You could say, "I need to take a rain check," or "Let's take a rain check and do our event next week. Let's take a rain check." It's easy to remember this expression if you can remember the base word rain. Let's imagine you're trying to have some kind of event outside. Maybe you're trying to get married outside, like I was, and it rains, like it was on my wedding. Well, you can't have the event outside. You have to go inside. So you need to change your plans because of the weather. So this is kind of the origin of the expression, but we can use it in any situation where you're changing plans. The second American idiom is to shoot the breeze. Let me tell you a quick story so you can guess the meaning. In a couple days, I'm getting together with a childhood friend who I haven't seen for a while, and when I told my husband that I was gonna get together with her, he said, "What are you gonna do? You haven't seen her for a long time." And I said, "I don't know, shoot the breeze, just sit together, we'll figure out something." What do you think from this quick story that shoot the breeze means? Well, we can imagine the word breeze means like a small wind. We can imagine a breeze coming out of your mouth when you're talking. So, shooting the breeze means just to chit-chat together, to talk about daily life, nothing too deep or important, just to chat. So I said, I'm gonna just shoot the breeze with her. I'm not gonna take a gun and shoot the wind. That would be a pretty crazy activity together, but instead we just talked. So there was wind coming out of our mouths, breeze. And this means we didn't really talk about anything serious or substantial, just chit-chat, just chatted. The third American idiom is to plead the fifth. Let me tell you a quick story so you can guess what it means. Let's imagine that your friend comes over to your house and he says, "Oh man, I just went on a date with Sarah yesterday. It was so great." And then you say, "Did you kiss her?" And he might say, "I plead the fifth." What does this mean? Why did he say, "I plead the fifth"? Well, the word plead means I beg, please, please, I'm begging. And the fifth, what in the world is the fifth? Why not the fourth, the 10th? Why is there a number here? Well, this is referencing the Constitution of the United States. In the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment says you don't need to say anything that is going to incriminate you in court. But when your friend was talking to you about kissing a girl on a date, was he worried about going to court or going to jail? No. So let's talk about the original meaning of this expression, the political meaning, and then we'll talk about how it got interpreted in daily conversation. Well, let's imagine that you're driving really fast and a policeman pulls you over and you roll down your window and he says, "Excuse me, have you been drinking alcohol? Have you been smoking weed? Have you been doing drugs?" You could say, "I plead the fifth." And this means you know that it's the law. You don't have to say anything to him that could make you get in trouble with the court later. If he's going to take you to court, you're going to say it in the court. You're not going to say it in this informal area in your car. You want to make sure that there's a lawyer. You want to make sure that it is done the right way. So you could say, "I plead the fifth," because that Fifth Amendment of the Constitution says you don't need to answer his questions. You don't need to say that. In daily life, we often use this when we don't want to answer a question. So you asked your friend, "Did you kiss her?" And he said, "I plead the fifth." This means he doesn't want to answer your question. He doesn't say, "Legally, I don't have to answer your question." No, this is just colloquially. He's saying, "I don't want to answer your question." But there is a subtle meaning here. When you use this in daily conversation, it means I don't want to tell you, but your answer is correct. So he said, "Did you kiss her?" And he said, "I plead the fifth." Really, it means yes, but I don't want to tell you. So if you use this expression, you're not really hiding the truth. You're telling them what they already know, but you just don't want to say it. So let me give you one other quick situation. The other day, I was sneakily eating a piece of chocolate in the kitchen, and Dan, my husband, walked into the kitchen and said, "Did you eat the last piece of chocolate?" Well, I had eaten the last piece of chocolate, and I said, "I plead the fifth." And this means I don't want to tell you, but it's true. I did eat the last piece of chocolate. So even though I didn't say I ate the last piece, yes, you are correct. It is implied when you use this expression. If you use it with a police officer, he's gonna be suspicious because you're not answering his question, but this is the legal situation, so it's okay to use it. It doesn't mean, yes, I was drinking alcohol. Yes, I was smoking. Yes, I was doing drugs. No, it doesn't imply that in the legal situation, but in the colloquial situation, it does. It implies, yes, I did that thing that you're accusing me of, but I don't want to say it. The fourth American idiom is to give props to someone. Let me tell you a quick story. Let's imagine that you want to study abroad in the US and you'd like to get your master's degree at Harvard. Well, your goal is to get your master's degree, but you think, why not? I'm going to try to apply to Harvard because they have a great reputation. So you try to get into Harvard and you don't make it. Then your friend asks you, "Hey, how did it go? Did you get a reply? Did you make it into Harvard?" And you probably say, "No, I didn't make it." They would say to you, "Well, I give you props for trying." What does this mean? I give you props for trying. This expression, props, means proper respect, but it's just been shortened over time. And if you asked most Americans, what does props mean? They probably wouldn't be able to tell you. I just looked it up online because I was curious. But we can imagine from this full expression, I'm giving you my proper respect for trying to get into Harvard. Even though you didn't make it, you tried hard. I give you my respect. Well, we can shorten this expression to say, I give you props for trying to get into Harvard. I give you props for something that you did. So when you want to show that someone didn't succeed, but you still are respecting them because they tried, this is a great expression to use. And you know what? You can even give yourself props. So let's imagine that you see a lost foreign traveler in your city and you want to try to speak English with them, but you feel a little nervous, but you do it anyway. You go to them, they ask you some questions. You didn't understand everything, but you tried your best. You could say, well, I give myself props for trying. I give myself props for approaching them and trying to speak English. You did it. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but you tried. So you can use this as encouragement for yourself. So now it's your turn. I want to know, have you ever needed to plead the fifth? Did you ever need to take a rain check or maybe give props to someone? Who do you like to shoot the breeze with? Let me know in the comments below. Try to use these expressions and expand your vocabulary. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I'll see you the next time. Bye! The next step is to download my free ebook, 5 Steps to Becoming a Confident English Speaker. You'll learn what you need to do to speak confidently and fluently. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more free lessons. Thanks so much. Bye.